Good afternoon, London. Great. As Jillian just said, my name is Desiree Motsmedi, and I lead developer and platform marketing at Facebook. I'm going to tell you a little story about when I fell in love with this developer ecosystem. About 3 years ago, I went to the United Arab Emirates, and at that time I was traveling the world talking to a lot of developers, and I met a young man. He was 21 years old, lived at home with his parents, and he built a gaming app. It was actually games like blackjack, poker. It was like a casino app, basically. He lived at home with his parents, and his parents were giving him a hard time, saying that you should become an engineer, you should be a lawyer, you should be doing something more with your life and your job. And in his first year of building this app, he made a little bit of money, around $5,000. It wasn't a lot of money, and so his parents were giving him a really hard time. His second year, he started to do more with IAP, and I think in that second year, he made about $15,000, and his parents were still giving him a hard time, saying, you should change your profession, you gotta move out of the house, you can't live with us anymore. And then in his third year, he started to do advertising. And in his third year, he made almost $350,000. And his parents were like, stay in it. We're gonna help you. Your brother's gonna now be involved. And now the rest is history. They're making a very, very successful business. And that was the moment that I realized that this developer ecosystem is like the gold rush days. It feels like there's so much opportunity. People have amazing ideas. And I'm so excited to be able to help share all the things that Facebook has to help you guys be successful. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can build, grow, and monetize using our Facebook platform and products. So we've heard a lot of challenges in this developer ecosystem. The first, of course, is that we hear that there's limited time and resources, there's so many devices and platforms, and it's very hard to think about where I should focus first. We've also heard that discovery is hard. We know that the Google Play Store has about 2.2 million apps. We know the Apple App Store has about 2.1 million apps. And then there's a slew of other app stores in the ecosystem, either in China or in other markets. So we're looking at close to 5 to 6 million apps in this ecosystem today. That's a crowded place. And for all of you guys, you have to figure out how do you guys rise to the top. And then also, of course, not only just getting your app out there, but getting re-engagement after they do the initial download. So it's amazing to see these numbers. But in 2007, when we announced our Facebook platform, we had 24 million people on Facebook. And just recently, we made some announcements that we have 1.8 billion people on Facebook today. A lot of growth in a very short amount of time. Not only that, but for our developer ecosystem, we've actually paid out $9.5 billion to developers using Audience Network as an example. That's a lot of money. And we have developers in over 250 countries, and it keeps growing. And this is a number that I'm super excited about. Our developer platform is growing 40% year over year. That means there's more developers who are excited about using these platform products, and there's more apps, and there's more businesses that are coming to fruition. And this one also really excites me to see that 70% of developers on our platform today are outside the US. This is the reason that we come to do these roadshows in all the different markets, EMEA being one of them. London is, of course, a very, very important business, or I should say location, especially as what Julian had said. We're actually not only going to be here, but we're going to Paris and Berlin, and we continue to do these roadshows across the world to kind of talk about all the solutions that we have. So you're probably wondering, if you don't know, what is the Facebook platform? And the way that I look at it is that we have a bunch of tools and services that help you guys become successful. And there's really three kind of core pillars. We have coding a world-class app, we have driving sign-up and discovery and engagement, and then measuring your impact. So let's kind of dive deep in that first section, coding a world-class app. We've already heard the challenges, which we've already talked about, the overabundance of tools and platforms and devices, and of course, limited time and resources from you guys today. How many of you guys are familiar with our open source tools with React or React Native? I want to see hands in the air. Okay, there's 4 of you. Okay, great. Our engineering team, even at Facebook, is committed to building world-class apps. And for them, they want to be able to find tools and services that are very easy for them to build these experiences. React was built to solve one problem alone, and it was to help developers build large applications with lots of data that changes over time. It's an open source JavaScript library for creating user interfaces that aims to address challenges encountered in developing single page applications. We have a whole session on React Native later on, and you'll be able to hear from Eric Nakagawa, so I highly recommend you guys to kind of listen more in that session. So we talked about coding a world-class app, but the second area, of course, is driving sign-up, discovery, and engagement. And we've heard from all of you guys in this ecosystem today, there's still friction at sign-up. Organic growth is really hard because of intense competition. As we talked about, there's all these apps in this ecosystem. And even right now, the stats really show that only 60% of all apps are downloaded are used less than 10 times. So let's talk about the first one, which is around sign-on. How many times have you guys forgotten your password? I'm sure many of you in this audience, I forget my password all the time, and it's kind of an embarrassing situation. Or even when you're even creating a new username, that your name is not available because there's too many Desirees in the world now. And then the other one that's also kind of annoying is the CAPTCHA, where sometimes there's a lowercase letter or an uppercase letter and you're not sure which one it is. It's quite annoying. So 8 years ago, we built Facebook Login. And this is the #1 single sign-on solution in the market today. We have about 350 million people who actually use Facebook Login on a monthly basis. And it does everything that you might already know when you actually log into apps. It's fast, it's easy. It gives developers an easy way to overcome conversion barriers and jumpstart social experiences in their apps, and it works across multiple platforms. We've seen a ton of developers seeing conversion up to 90% just using Facebook Login. And I'm also super excited to talk about AccountKit. How many of you guys know AccountKit in the audience? A few, not a many. Okay, we announced this earlier this year at F8, and you probably saw it in that video. And AccountKit was really to help to develop a passwordless solution using email or your phone number. And the one thing about this is that you don't need to have a Facebook account to actually use this. So it's really nice. This is actually a really simple solution where you put your phone number in or your email address, and you're able to log into an app based on those two ways. So it's easy to implement, it's customizable, but the biggest thing is that we believe that it's complementary to Facebook Login today. You're going to give consumers a choice on logging in either through Facebook Login, what they might be already familiar with, or using the phone number or email to actually access that app as well. So in the last 6 months since we announced this, we have developers in about 26 countries that are using AccountKit today. And as I said, really promising results with some conversion rates up to over 90%, which is awesome. 2 examples that I want to call out. One is Couchgram. They were using multiple different sign-on solutions. And as they started to use AccountKit, in the first month, from 54%, they were able to see an increase in conversions by 95%. We were super excited to see that, and we're now pushing it to more developing countries as well, too. Another example is Ingress. They're a Brazilian ticketing marketplace. And they actually were using AccountKit for something completely different, to protect themselves against fraud. And as they started to use AccountKit, they were able to actually decrease fraud of ticketing by 55%. And you're going to hear more about this. We actually have a whole session on login and account later on as well, too. So feel free to ask questions during that session as well. So we've talked about frictionless ways to sign up. And now we want to talk about how you can get your business discovered. One of the stats that I love is about sharing. And one of our core principles at Facebook, of course, is sharing. I'm sure all of you guys share videos, links, pictures, anything right now today on Facebook. But the stat here is saying that 70% of shares from apps and sites to Facebook come outside of the US. That shows you there's a lot of stuff happening outside the US, which is great. So why do people share? We share because we want to express themselves. They create and strengthen relationships. They also help people by inspiring them and informing them, or even making people laugh. So with Share, something we actually released earlier this year was something called quote sharing. And maybe you've seen it actually in Newsfeed, but it's an example where you can see in Newsfeed a quote that's being shared. It's a separate field from both the link attachment and the user message, giving equal power to each while still driving traffic to your site. So in some cases, you as a developer or a publisher might have a good sense of the quotable moments, and so rather than implementing a highlighting functionality, you can provide a share button next to that clear, quotable text. Another big area that we're super excited about is Messenger. How many of you guys use Messenger in the room today? Oh, okay, good. Big numbers there. And I think you heard maybe already some announcements that we made earlier today around bots. How many of you guys are familiar with bots? Okay, are people excited about bots? I hope you are, because it's pretty exciting. So we are providing new tools to help build bots by enabling automated experiences that allow you to connect to over 1 billion people in the world. And some examples of those, and you see here in this picture, you're able to actually manage a reservation. You're now enabling this one-to-one experience with your consumers. That really changes the dynamic of how you can interact with your audience. And we're super excited about this. There's also 2 sessions on this today. There's a technical deep dive, as well as just a general overview. So highly recommend taking a look at those sessions as well. Another big area for us is around Facebook pages. How many of you guys have a Facebook page in the audience? Okay, a lot. Great. In fact, we have about 1 billion people who look at Facebook pages every month. It's a very big stat. And Facebook is the first place people turn to when they want to transact or interact with a business. So communicating with a business is an example. When you want to coordinate or connect with friends through like events, or transact with any provider on any goods or services. Last month, we made an announcement around Pages, and we announced these new 2 Pages developer tools. The first one is called Native Components. And the idea of it is that on the page itself, you can actually build solutions or engagement models around booking an appointment, creating a reservation. I'm trying to think of all the other things you could do. Create a payment solution. And all of this is actually a drag and drop solution on the page itself. You don't need to know a lot of coding. You're able to basically use third-party services on the page itself to have these interactions. Another thing that we announced as well is the ability to create a web view on these pages too. So very similar to these B2B experiences, which I mentioned, from like creating an appointment, making a reservation, creating a payment solution, whatever those may be. But the web view is actually a more customized experience where you're able to actually build in your brand, your look and feel, so it feels more like who you are. So these are both very early days. It's limited beta, but if you are interested, feel free to find any of us in the room, and we can help you to get more details. All right, so we've talked about frictionless sign-up discovery, and let's talk now about measuring your impact. As a developer, you want to really understand who your audience is so that you can optimize the app experience. You also want to be able to scale your app and measure growth that could become very cost prohibitive. So, how many of you guys know about Facebook Analytics for apps? I want to see hands this time. This one's important. Okay, great. Last month, we made an announcement that not only do we support app, but we also support web. So now it is a cross-platform solution. Super important. The other thing, too, and I think there's this weird stigma in the marketplace thinking that you can only use the solution if you use Facebook Login. That is not the case. This is a standalone solution. The other thing that makes us really, really important with this solution is that we have rich demographics and audience insights. That's what Facebook knows best. You can also create audience creation for ad and push campaigns. And the best part about the solution is that it's free. All right, so we talked about coding a world-class app. We talked about driving engagement, and then measuring your success. I'm super excited to be here today. I would love to talk to any of you guys. I'm going to be here all day. I also want to introduce Alan Mazarski. He's going to talk to you about the FbStart program. Thank you.